Hello, friends. Welcome once again to a brand new episode of the Third Man Cricket Podcast. And during the course of this episode, we are just going to do a quick review of a couple of other series that went by in the last week or so in the cricketing world. One was a momentous Test series victory of the West Indies over Bangladesh in Bangladesh. No mean achievement, with most of their first choice players missing out in action, followed by a quick wrap up on the T20 series that happened between Pakistan and South Africa in Pakistan, and also a brief heads up into the Pakistan Super League, which has already started a couple of days ago, and we have seen some riveting action in that as well. So we'll just talk briefly about the teams and how they are stacked up in that league and what we can expect going forward there. Once again, a warm welcome to my friend Ravi to the podcast. And like to start off with your views on the recently concluded second test match between Bangladesh and West Indies, Ravi. And how do you view this series victory of theirs in the subcontinent, which is a very rare occurrence for them?
Oh, well, yes, indeed. And such a great game, such a great test. I never thought, the second test would also, end up to be going down to the wire. And, okay, we'll have to talk again about how test cricket is suddenly revived and whatnot. But it was like, you know, some fresh air. Okay, that's how good I'll say the day five of, say, both the games were. Uh, West Indies getting into the game just had one job, probably to bat deep, bat long, maybe play about 150 overs, and then ensure that uh, majority of their game is pretty much handled by batting, and of course take the series home. The pressure was on Bangladesh because even a series leveling effort, or you know, even if they actually pretty much won the game, it would not necessarily be that it's like a shared trophy right at their home. So West Indies winning toss, I expected them to bat first, which they did. Uh, and amazing innings there by Bonner, and of course by Joshua De Silva. I was really hoping he'd get 100 because I'm kind of in awe of all these wicket keepers who are doing really good with bat. Be it Rizwan, be it Rishabh Pant, be it Ben Fox, be it Joshua De Silva himself. Okay, we're not talking about Tim Payne here for obvious reasons. So I was really looking forward to Joshua De Silva getting his 100, and then Alzari Joseph with the bat as well. Amazing innings, that partnership between them both, right? They about I think about 120 odds or so. Uh, Amazing stuff. It pretty much uh, kind of defined the game for them. They pretty much batted about 150 overs, got 409 or so, and then it was their game to lose, wasn't it? Or it needed some amount of stupid batting effort to actually lose from there, and like a probably a dramatic test match that we'd see that actually happened, and we'll come to that. Coming to Bangladesh's first innings, right? Uh, you're never happy getting below 300 on your home pitch, especially this very stadium at Dhaka. Uh, it was a very absolutely straightforward spin wicket, and hence Bangladesh also pretty much played, I'll say, just one seamer, and then Soumya Sarkar is just a right arm medium, a part-time bowler, and they pretty much played that to their strength. And despite that, they conceded good number of runs, and hence I'll say it has been a very ordinary effort. Coming to the batting as well, there were starts. Uh, we did see some amount of, I'll say, fireworks from Tamim initially, wherein he scored that amazing six. Rahim was there battling it around. At one stage, they looked really, really very, very stable. I thought, it would be a certain 350, and this game would just end up as a draw. Special mention to Litton Das there, another keeper who has done really well. Uh, I'm happy once again. But of course, good conscious effort there. Rakim Cornwall in all his glory bowled really well, got 5 wickets in the first innings, and pretty much was West Indies' game from there to not lose. Probably their effort, or probably their intention was not to never lose from there and just bat. pretty long, and that turned out to be a very, I'll say, an approach that actually went necessarily didn't go their way. Bundled out for 117. Uh, Spinners did what they could, and just can't imagine that. I was really feeling very upset when West Indies were bundled out for 117 because it was their game to never lose. And uh, in Bangladesh, playing against Bangladesh, setting a total of about 235 to 240. Odds are with Bangladesh because they, irrespective of Shakib being or not being, it was their game to lose. Nothing much to talk in that West innings again, other than the Bonner innings again of about 38 runs, where he scored about good 35 percentage of runs, and these are big numbers, because 240 still seemed to be a, I'll not say a defendable total, but they had something to fight for, and they had something on the scoreboard to fight for. Next up, we finally had Bangladesh starting, and Tamim Iqbal and Soumya did were around, and they were pretty good. And I thought, it would just be a formality from there. Turning point of the game, would I would say, was Mushfiqur Rahim's after Tamim's and Soumya's wicket. Mainly because they were all set, 101 for three, 130 or 135 to more get 7 wickets to go. Who'd think that, Bangladesh would do a Bangladesh, that to this time in Bangladesh. That was an horrid show. There was some amount of fireworks towards end, wherein Mehdi Hasan was kind of battling it out, but never proved to be fruitful. Good innings, but never enough. Special mention again here. We need to talk about the efforts of Rakim Cornwall and Jomel Vaurikan as well, and Craig Brathwaite, wherein all these three spinners pretty much picked up the 10 wickets. It was amazing to see those uh, you know final moments wherein uh, the gentle giant, was celebrating. I'll say it is the picture of the decade probably, and the decade has just started now. uh, Amazing innings, a testament to Test cricket, and we just can't miss out on such games. And this was the day five was another one such day wherein I pretty much subscribed to fan code, watched all what's happening, and I was very glad to see what has happened. What's your thoughts, Pawan? What do you feel about this amazing Test match fought between, I'll say, uh, one not very fit team in terms of their squad, and other team that didn't necessarily play to their caliber, which is Bangladesh. What's your thought?
Yeah, but very well summed up over there, Ravi, as far as the second test match and the series is concerned. And I think in the last 20 years or so, West Indies have had very few occasions to celebrate as far as their test cricket is concerned, both home and away, more so away. So I think this series is a good fillip to their test cricket, and was a very momentous occasion to see them win here in the subcontinent. And it was a thorough team effort from them, marshaled well by the coach Phil Simmons, and then Craig Brathwaite took on the leadership role and uh, marshaled his resources also very well on the field. Uh, and it was good to see the big man Rakim Cornwell come to the party and play his role in the second test match, especially. And I think they've got one spinner over there who could hold the fort for them as far as bowling on turning pitches is concerned. Not much to say about his fitness or whether it's going to improve, but if he can keep bowling like that and fielding in the slips, that would make no harm to the Windies. And again, Bonner picked up his good form from the first Test match and produced match-defining innings in both the innings of the Test match. And as you mentioned, Joshua De Silva has been a revelation on this tour for them, and you definitely see him, playing ahead of the likes of Shane Dowditch when West Indies returns to full strength. Nice to see Alzari Joseph also be among the runs, although they would like him to be better with the ball as well. But overall, a very good achievement on part of the Windies. And on the other end of the spectrum, if you see Bangladesh, I think their pride has been hurt big time. Uh, they have been very consistent side at home against any kind of opposition, be it England, Australia, New Zealand, they have been very tough nut to crack at home, but they have many questions to be answered at the end of the series. Although they had a couple of bright sparks in the form of Mehdi Hassan, Abu Jaid, and Taijul Islam on and off, but overall they would not have expected to lose against even a full strength West Indies team at home, let alone a second string West Indies side. And they have got to do some deep introspection into what went wrong. And I'm sure the likes of Russell Domingo, Otis Gibson would be asked for answers from Nazmul Hassan, the president of the Bangladesh Cricket Board, which also leads on to another question with respect to his remarks after the game. And it just boggles my mind as to how can a president of a board have so much say in the running of the day-to-day affairs of a cricket team. He would be well served to take care of his responsibilities as far as the Bangladesh Cricket Board is concerned. I've not seen a president of a cricket board get involved so deeply in with the team, and he was apparently blaming it on the COVID protocols that prevented the communication between him and the team management. Otherwise, he would have had his way and made sure that somebody else played in the playing 11. And he feels that that would have, caused a different result in the game. So, a lot of questions to be answered. I mean, Bangladesh, they have made their test debut in 2000 against India, and it's been 21 years now, and they have not progressed in the red ball game as they would have liked to. They are a force to reckon with in the white ball game, and even better than some of the lower rung teams in the international stage. But when it comes to Test cricket, a lot uh, is left to be desired, and we need them to pull up their socks in that regard as well uh, for us to maintain a healthy pool of destinations going forward. But overall, I would say a fantastic result. And more you see the teams winning overseas, the better it is for Test cricket. Because in the last 3 or 4 years, we had become accustomed to teams dominating at home and then losing quite heavily away from home. So this nice mixture makes sure that we as fans get to watch engrossing Test cricket, and I'm sure that that's going to be the way forward as well.
Indeed, Pawan, and of course, definitely looking forward for some solid Test cricket, which is fought, well away from home, irrespective of the conditions, like how we've seen in Bangladesh this time around. That pretty much takes us to a different format this time in Pakistan. T20 cricket is again back. South Africa were necessarily not playing their full strength, especially in the bowling department, I'd say. But what do you think about the South Africa tour of Pakistan, especially with respect to the T20 cricket? And initial thoughts, what I thought, 2-1 Pakistan win necessarily didn't show the true picture, because South Africa were definitely battling it out really well in the both games that they've lost, and actually won the game quite convincingly. So due credit to Pakistan there, because they were able to finish the games. But uh, what do you think? What was your highlight of this very series in terms of batting, bowling for both the teams? What do you think, Pawan Bhaiya?
I think it was a fair result at the end of the day, although Pakistan would appear to have just scraped past the line against, again, a understrength South African team. Uh, they had sent most of their first choice players back to South Africa, hoping for that test series against Australia. But even after that was cancelled, they made the right decision of not changing their squad overnight and making the players that were selected in the first place to play in the T20 series. And I think when it comes to positives of both sides, as far as Pakistan is concerned, again, the emergence of Mohammad Rizwan in the T20 format, who has been a revelation as an opener. Many questions were raised about his strike rate and whether he could do justice to that role in the shortest format of the game. I think he has answered all the questions and ticked all the boxes. I think he should be a permanent fixture in that Pakistani T20 side at the top of the order. And he can virtually change gears. He can play the attacking game, and in case if there are early wickets lost, he can play the waiting game as well and build up the innings from there. So I see him being a vital cog in the uh, World T20 plans of Pakistan going forward. And then it was nice to see their bowlers also come to the fore, the likes of Usman Khader, the son of the legendary passed away leg spinner Abdul Khader. He had a couple of good games, but would want to improve his consistency. Shine Afridi, who's been a sort of a banker for them in the white ball format, he also bowled very well, and so did the likes of Haris Rauf and Fahim Ashraf. And Mohammad Nawaz, who is also a very talented cricketer, has not been given the chances that he deserves. Was man of the match in that all-important third class. So he has a good amount of things to offer with both the bat and the ball. And I think that should hold them in good stead. They were missing the likes of Mohammad Hafiz, Shoaib Malik, more so Mohammad Hafiz, who could not arrive in time for the series, but they would take that as a positive of winning without him. So I see them, the more they play before that World T20, they would get an idea of mix of their side, uh, and I see them being one of the good contenders for the World T20 as well. And on the other hand, South Africa would have been very happy to see some of the youngsters coming to the fore and performing, which also gives them more options. They have been having a very different T20 squad for the last 1 year or so. You don't see the one-day regulars or the test regulars part of the South Africa T20 side of late. And I think those two people at the top of the order, Janiman Malan and Reza Hendricks, are one for the future as far as South Africa is concerned. They had a very good series and provided some exhilarating starts for them
Mhm.
in the series.
So,
Uh, and I see them playing a very important role come the World T20 and the future of South African white ball cricket for sure. And David Miller also had a cracker of a series, especially in that second and third game. In one of the games, they were down and out at 40 for 6, and he propelled them to a total of 180 odd with his lusty hitting. I think he's been sort of an inconsistent performer for them for a very long time now. We know all the credentials that he has got in the IPL as well. He does not get the kind of chances that he deserves. So I think this might just be that breakthrough moment where we might see him, break the shackles and be that much more consistent because they need him to be firing on all cylinders in pretty much every competition that they play in. Such a game-changing batsman for them. But they will take a lot of heart out of this series as well in the way that their team performed. They were short of experience as far as the bowling is concerned, but I think uh, like Pakistan, if they keep on playing, some more matches, they will get the right kind of mix that is needed for that World T20 later this year in India. All in all, a good series. Pakistan would be happy to win that series at home and give something more for their fans to cheer about. They'll be looking to have their uh, experienced players back so that it adds teeth to their batting and bowling on the whole.
certainly, yes, Baya. And actually, I totally resonate, the thoughts, and mainly with respect to Hafiz, that who is actually missing, right? To be honest, this guy, despite being 41, right, he can walk into the World T20 11 if there is any currently. After those amazing innings in New Zealand, and now, uh, of course, hasn't played in the Pakistan versus South Africa series largely because of his unavailability due to the, I think, T10 league in Dubai. Having said that, he started off his PSL season this time with Lahore Qalandars as well, magnificently well. And how much do we actually want him to play more and more cricket? Good to see this from Hafiz. The professor is back at back at where he's always is, and that's at the top. Coming to a few pointers that I wanted to uh, talk about the Pakistan South Africa series was mainly with respect to Rizwan's leadership. The first T20 pretty much won it for them, won it for them with that amazing 100. And not just that, we often saw him kind of leading the team, getting the boys together. And for some reason, I don't want to kind of rake up any controversy wherein, my friends from Pakistan would disagree with me, but I felt probably few bowlers and fielders were more happy to kind of, instantly respond to him or, react to what his changes were. And it pretty much proved to be so in the third, in the first game itself, wherein South Africa were almost chasing it down, and there was some amount of changes that this guy pretty much was. He was pretty much in control of how he is kind of handling the game and so on and so forth. Whereas Babar was pretty much fielding at long off. So good to see with that with Mohammad Rizwan, and I think as we rightly, if I'm not sure if it's right, but as we discussed in the past, I think he's going to be probably a long-term keeper for Pakistan if Babar doesn't necessarily do well, if not with the bat, at least with the wins as well. Uh, so I think Babar has been okayish in terms of his batting because we know how brilliant he is. Uh, just a fine 40 odd or so in one of the game, but nothing much that he has actually done. Because and of course PSL season is here, and I think we can uh, pretty much start discussing about the PSL on this note, wherein I genuinely wanted to get your thoughts on few players that you really look forward to, uh, and what necessarily may that we may see with to me, right? I just want a new winner this time around. Probably see either Quetta Gladiators or Lahore winning this time around. I think I'd be quite happy to see that. And Lahore has pretty much started well as we speak today, but Quetta is not doing as well as they are expected to. So, what are your thoughts on PSL, Bhaiya, and who do you think of few players that we need to watch out other than the big ones who are regulars? And also your view on the foreign combinations or the foreign contingent that generally plays for PSL.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a much more competitive PSL season this time around. If I'm not wrong, this is the first time the entire tournament is being staged in Pakistan, um, across two venues in Karachi and Lahore. So that's good for starters. And they've had around 20% capacity of crowds allowed. Historically, it's been a competitive tournament with the six teams, but I would not say it has been of a high quality standard, mainly because of the kind of overseas players that have been available over there who have been well past their prime. You don't have many top notch current international stars going and playing in that league, which I hope changes in the future as well for them. That would, help them pump in more money as well. Um, and as you mentioned, Lahore Qalandars have been the wooden spoon winners for the first four seasons, I think. They made it to the playoffs last time, and they have been historically very slow starters. So they won their two matches, and they've got very good team combination led by Mohammad Hafiz again. Fakar Zaman is there for them. I don't know why they have a certain Sohail Akhtar as the captain over there. Uh, might be a franchise favorite, but they have been able to snap up the likes of Rashid Khan as well, who is not going to be available for the entire season. But they've got a good squad, I think, along with Haris Rauf and Shaheen Afridi looking after um, their what do you call bowling attack. Um, and A couple of players to look forward in their franchise would be Aga Salman, who is a quality all rounder, um, as per the reports, and likes of Dilbar Hussain, who is a good bowler as well in the domestic circuit. So these are a couple of good players to look forward from their end. Um, and then the defending champions, Karachi Kings. It leaves me perplexed as to why they would not have Babar Azam as the captain, who is the national captain across all the formats. Is that a ploy to just release him of the pressure and let him be himself? Although Imad Wasim has done nothing wrong, uh, they are coached by the legendary Wasim Akram, I believe. They've got a good squad as well, and be a very tough team to beat this year as well. Likes of Colin Ingram, Sharjeel Khan make uh, a good solid uh, top order for them. They've got Mohammad Nabi, Dan Christian as well over there. Mohammad Amir is there with the ball. Um, One youngster who was performed very well in the previous seasons and is we'll have to look forward to him is Arshad Iqbal. He's already performed very well in the first couple of games for them. So I think they're a very settled squad and very surprised if they don't make it to the top two at least in this current season. And when it comes to Quetta Gladiators, they have been very consistent but bereft of many titles. As far as the PSL is concerned, they've got the Universe boss Chris Gale, who's not going to be available, I believe, for much of the tournament. Interestingly, he's wanting to go back and represent the Windies. They've got Fab Duplessis back in as well in their squad. Um, Again, is very good, and then they've got Ben Cutting and Mohammad Nawaz as the all-rounders for them. A bit concerned that they keep on, going back to Sarfraz Ahmed as far as the captaincy is concerned. I was just viewing the game yesterday, quite target playing against Lahore, and hasn't learned from his mistakes. He's it seems he's still is captaining a school team, getting very angry at his players. He wouldn't say a word to the overseas players, uh, uh, but that's not the way the captain should behave. You expect the captain to behave or a coach to behave like that at the school level or at the under 17 or the under 19 level, but I think the pressure is showing up on him from the time Rizwan has started to perform as well for Pakistan. He's come down in the pecking order. Uh, Mohin Khan's son Azam Khan, is also playing for Quetta Gladiators. Mohin Khan is apparently in the coaching staff of Quetta Gladiators as well. I'm very surprised to see Azam Khan being so unfit. He's on the heavier side. They have got Tom Banton as well in their ranks, so that's a good addition that they've got. But they've got the best of the young Pakistani bowlers, in the likes of Mohammad Hasnain and Naseem Shah. Zaid Mahmood uh, is a quality leg spinner, is what they say. Anwar Ali is also another player. Usman Shinwari. I don't know if Dale Steyn will be playing much for them, but they've got good pace attack. Just they have to get more disciplined. Moving on, then we have got Peshawar Zalmi, who have also got a power packed squad. As we speak today, they chased around 194 and won that game quite easily at the end of the day. Uh, David Miller, Haider Ali is one exciting prospect for them. Imam ul Haq, uh, Tom Kohler, Cadmore, he was very aggressive today in that game as well. And then followed by the experience of Shoaib Malik, Ravi Wapara, Sharfin Rutherford. Ahmad Butt is the one good all rounder they say in the Pakistani domestic circuit, whom they rate very highly. So somebody to look forward to. They've got the experienced wicketkeeper in the form of Kamran Akmal as well. I have my doubts about Wahab Riaz, the captain, and Wahab Riaz, the bowler. They must have surely found somebody else to, captain that side. I don't see bowler captains doing that well in any form of the game, to be honest. Um, they've got the likes of Mohammad Irfan and Mujib and Saqib Mahmood, to take care of their bowling. So I think they will be tough competitors as well. And I see them playing playoffs as well. That leaves us with Islamabad United, who has been a very consistent side in the PSL as well. They're led by Shadab Khan. Strangely enough, he always remains fit for the PSL, but not for national duties. Uh, Remains to be seen how he goes around. And the likes of Alex Hales and Philip Salt also in their team. So that's going to be another They're a good combination to have at the top of the order. Hussein Talat is another all-rounder whom the Pakistanis speak very highly of. Iftikhar Ahmed, the perennial favorite of Misbah like in the Pakistani team, remains to be seen how good he proves. I'd like to see somebody like a Paul Sterling being given more chances at their end. He's a fantastic player for Ireland. I think that he should be uh,
Hmm.
given more chances. I must admit that I did not know who Lewis Gregory was before a game a couple of days ago where he won the match for Islamabad United.
Hmm.
Never heard of him before, but he seemed very good with both the bat and the ball. They've obviously got Fahim Ashraf as well. They've got Rohel Nazir as the wicketkeeper. He was a Pakistani under-19 skipper and is touted to be the next in line after Rizwan in the Pakistani team. Uh, then to wrap up their bowling, Hassan Ali, Mohammad Musa, Zafar Gohar, all these guys. Fawad Ahmad, the Australian leg break bowler, is also there. They'll always remain in the mix. Well, Islamabad United. Finally, Multan Sultans, they very harsh on their part to remove Shan Masood from the captaincy. I think he did a fantastic job with them last year. Uh,
Hmm.
they wanted to, once Karachi released Mohammad Rizwan, they wanted to entrust him with captaincy. The way they handled the fiasco was not in good taste, as far as I'm concerned.
Hmm.
They have somebody like Andy Flower, as their coach, and Mushtaq Ahmed as their bowling coach, I believe. Uh, they've got James Wins, Chris Lynn, Shoaib Maqsood, Riley Russo, the South African, Khushdil Shah, another power hitter from Pakistan.
Hmm.
And then got the Lala, Shahid Afridi. God knows how many more years he's going to be playing cricket for. And they got the all-rounder Carlos Brathwaite also in, Ricky as they call him. So they also lost first couple of games, so it'll be interesting to see how they pick themselves up. Sohail Tanvir has been a big letdown for them so far in this brief season. How they utilize the likes of Imran Tahir and Sohail Khan also remains to be seen. So overall, I think it's going to be a good competition for them. And sorry for that uh, misinformation earlier. Last year's PSL season also, I believe, was entirely held in Pakistan, with a big gap between the league stage and the playoffs due to the COVID-19 situation. Uh, Hopefully, there's going to be an even better season from their point of view. And I'm personally, I'm hoping somebody like a Lahore Qalandars goes on and wins because they have a very good system in place as far as managing talent, scouting talent is concerned. I think they are probably on par with Mumbai Indians scouting program if you want to compare it to them in Pakistan. And I think once they had that system in place, they were in for the long haul rather than wanting to just win championships right from the outset. So I think their time might come sooner rather than later, and we might see players performing for them. Hopefully, Pakistan would get to unearth some good talent. That is one main motive, and I also hope that they don't just push that talent who performs well over here directly into the one-day squad or the test match squad. Just select them for the T20 squad and take it from there. I don't know if somebody like a Fawad Alam is part of any team. I did not see his name venturing out there. I would have loved to see him as well be part of the mix. That's my overall view on the Pakistan Super League, another T20 league, which is just in its nascent stages. They would definitely want to attract more quality international talent to up the standard of their league going forward.
Indeed, Bhaiya. So, answering one question of yours with respect to Lala and the number of years that he has left, I think he's just about 24, 25 now. So, I think he can play about 20 more years. But it was lovely and heartening to see that signature celebration of his yesterday after picking a wicket. I think he picked Tom Banton circuit. If I'm not wrong. It's quite complete. And also one more pointer on that, Azam Khan's fitness issue and Moin Khan still around. I watched Sri Lanka Premier League quite religiously back in a month or two ago. And then there's another team called Gladiators, which is owned by the same franchise or the same conglomerate, which pretty much owns Quetta. And
Mhm.
the same set of two people of Azam and Moin are right there. And I think nepotism is quite natural, perhaps there. It's just that we Indians are a bit more subtle. But despite being subtle, there's a there's a lot of digs that are taken here. So fair point. So would be interesting PSL. To be honest, I'm yet not completely glued to it currently, mainly because of a few work schedules are probably enough to actually focus on with respect to or enough to worry probably with respect to various other cricketing events happening across. But I'd really like to follow what's been happening. I'm genuinely hoping uh, I'll be kind of supporting Multan Sultans this time around for Rizwan, but um, I'm guessing, like you rightly mentioned, Lahore would be a good team to start off because they need that one trophy perhaps despite their them finishing on the top and doing consistently well across like last few seasons and missed out on the final against Karachi as well in the last season as well. That's one game that I watched. Would be an interesting season ahead. Uh, so I think we can do one more mid-season review perhaps of PSL. Maybe once each team finishes about 4 to 5 games, perhaps that would be a good idea. And I think would be really interesting to keep a tab on few players that you mentioned. I think our listeners also would find it really helpful. Thanks there, Pawan Bhaiya.
Yeah, thanks for your views on that, Ravi. And one thing which blows my mind is that okay, you want to play your son, but he's also a wicket keeper. How could have Moin Khan allowed his son to be so grossly unfit, considering the demands of the modern game? Is just what comes into my mind. But again, that's a question for another day. Uh, but definitely hoping to see some quality cricket as we go forward. So I think with that we can call it a day as far as this episode is concerned. Hope our listeners enjoy and present their views on this conversation that we had about these couple of cricket series and the PSL. Um, and we look forward to joining you after the pink ball test match. And in the next episode, we'll definitely give a preview of that test match, uh, followed by a post match review in detail, and we're looking forward to what engulfs in that test match and where do we stand as far as the World Test Championship is concerned. Hoping for a good test match over there. You don't want to see ending in just a couple of days or 3 days, whichever team wins. You want it to go and last the distance. So we shall see you soon then, you know, and give you an update about that as well. Thank you very
Cheers,
much.
Pawan Bhaiya. Thanks a
Thank you.
lot, everyone. Catch again in the next episode. Till then, take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.